Thank you all for joining us on this important day. We're so grateful for all of you here. This is the third day of the sharing that we've been doing here at Reconciliation Canada, along with the Indian Residential School Survivors Society. We've been taking people through a process of sharing different ways to grieve and to mourn and those kinds of things that we do, sharing songs a little bit. And today we're going to really be focusing on the grieving process and how we move through that. We know that the people in our communities, our families, the survivors, and all of the people across Canada are mourning with us. And we want to make sure that especially our young people have ways that they know that we can do this, that helps to build our resilience and helps us to move through some of this grief. And tomorrow we'll be doing one more session with everybody. And that's really where we're going to start talking about what are the actions we need to take next. So we really do hope any of you that join today will join tomorrow, but also that we especially invite lots of people to that, because I think that's going to be a really important day. Right now, we're trying to make sure that we're taking care of our people, that we're providing healthy ways for us to manage the grief that everyone's going through. So with that, I would like to call on Chief Robert Joseph to to start our day off with a prayer.
Greetings, all our relatives. We're speaking to you today from the unceded territories of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam people. We're so honored to be here. This is, like Karen said, the third day of our ways of paying the utmost, the highest respect to loved ones who pass on to the spirit world. There are few things in our way of being that holds the kind of sanctity that we must have for our loved ones when they pass into the spirit world. So these days are set aside for doing that, for absolutely focusing and remembering why we gather today. And it is because of those beautiful little souls that were discovered, their remains discovered at the St. Michael's in the Kamloops Indian Residential School in Kamloops. And of course, for all of the other little ones who never made it home, there are many, many more, and we will discover them. So I want to thank all of you for having been here for the third day with us, some of you, for those that came in the first and second days. This is our way. This is how we hold each other up in these really, really difficult, sad times. And we appreciate that you are here. I'm going to say a prayer in Kwakwala. And for all of you online, even if you do not understand the words, find the words in your own hearts about how you feel about this moment, how you feel about those little children and why it happened and what we should do eventually beyond this day. So Chosi da na kwasasm gachno chagim genanam chida silakwala chidlugwaya we wolkina wala sakwala hemistano like tluma dakala kenochla kasa Kotla mega no has he e kuiki de da kina me sasama. O me sono kuika masalo hotana la khindak ala khida sakwa ilos khida sala wusla. Khota awila kyola khota awina kusu. O ma kyono kalka posa kya wala pa. Khat masses and uglala khe waltamla achit. Ahem all my relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Joseph. I love that we're able to share today in our various languages and share our cultural practices. And I commented yesterday that despite all the different languages, I still feel and know the message. So thank you for showing us a way to do that every day. We have some amazing people joining us today to guide us through some of this. And I'd like to introduce them. The first one will be Yvonne Rigsby Jones, who is the past ED of the Tk'emlups Society. Yvonne is going to guide us through a little bit of commentary on self-care and on grieving. We really recognize today that, you know, we're moving forward as a people through grief. We're sad, we're hurt, we're in disbelief into some sections, even though, you know, we knew this is part of the whispered knowledge of our people. We always knew this was true. And it was one of the areas of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that for me was really, really challenging personally, because I knew everybody was working so hard to find those children, and you know, the access wasn't provided to some of the records and that we needed. And so, but it's one thing to know, and it's another thing to hear it. It's another thing to find those children. And we know that this is the beginning of a long process, that our people will not rest until that is done. And so we really appreciate all of you here today. I want to acknowledge the orange t-shirts that everybody are wearing that represent the comment that every child matters, all our children matters, past, present, and future. My father always talks about being with the children, you know, and I am nothing without you. And so many of us believe that, and that was part of what was taken away from us in those schools in real meaningful ways, is the disruption of our families, the disruption of our strength, the disruption of our love. And so, you know, I really recognize that that's where we're here today. And I also really want to recognize the anger or the rage that some people feel. It's natural, it's normal. And for us to move through it, we need to find our places of love. Hopefully we can find our places of love, because I've found personally that tends to eat you up inside and doesn't allow for collective movement forward or through. And so I really want to honor Yvonne for guiding us through today, through some of this self-care and through some of what we're talking about today. So, Yvonne, I have to share with everybody that's joining us today the support that everybody's been giving and the coming together that we've had on these sites have been overwhelming. It's been so humbling to know that there are so many of you out there who are joining us today in support and in prayer and in love and really adding to the energy that we're feeling. We were talking about this yesterday when we had some of the people join with us, that even though it's on this strange format, we're really recognizing the power of the messaging that we're receiving and the power of the words that are being shared. We're we're having a little bit of a challenge because our actual our Zoom link is 100% full, and we have a significant capacity on our Zoom link. I believe close to 3,000 people. So Yvonne is having a little bit of a challenge jumping back onto the screen. So what I'm going to do is we'll ad lib a little bit here while we find a way to get her back on. Chief Joseph, if I could call on you to speak about some of about the grieving process and about some of the ways that we share and find a way to go through what we're going through. For those of you that don't know, this is the 4th day after the remains of our children were found, those 215 children on the grounds of the Kamloops Indian Residential School. And there's so much grieving going on there. There are so many communities and organizations that are being overwhelmed by the grief that everybody is experiencing. And people are reaching out to places like the Indian Residential School Survivor Society, to Tk'emlups, to the National Indian Residential School Survivor Society. And those organizations are responding in significant ways like we can as Indigenous people. And they're doing that without any financial resourcing. And so their staff are exhausted. Their people are exhausted. And one of the things that we wanted to do today was really try to create a platform by which we could practice one of our sort of ways of doing things within our culture, and that is to call on people to support those organizations. You can find them locally if you want to, and even if you can just give $5 or $10, it's very much like a kind of a blanket, it's what they call a blanket ceremony here, so that they can help the people who are in need. And so if you can do that, there's the National Indian Residential School Survivor Society, there's the Indian Residential School Survivor Society. If it's challenging for you to go to those places, we're going to do the best that we can in the days going forward. And so there's also reconciliationcanada.ca. So we're so grateful that our dear guide, our elder, our auntie, our grandmother has found a way back to us today. So it's not you, Yvonne, it's just the process. So we talked about this last night. We're really trusting what's going on here. And so thank you again for joining us last minute. I want to acknowledge that everybody that we've invited here, just like in our communities at home, I really believe that this kind of work is our superpower as Indigenous people. You put the call out and the people that you need to be there are there. And Yvonne and her family is very much like Chief Joseph and our family. They're leaders in this space. John, everybody. So Yvonne, by all means, take it away.
Thank you very much, Karen. You did really well thinking on your feet. Cyberspace and the little people, the fairies were in my computer. All of a sudden, this rejoin little comment came up, and here I am. And thank you all for your patience. And my son came and pushed some buttons, and now here I am. And my husband gave up his own little space and came to join me. And hi, Chica. So as Karen said, I'm Yvonne Marie Simpson Rigsby Jones, daughter of the late Mildred White Simpson, daughter of Isabel Wise White, daughter of Jenny Wise, all strong Tk'emlups women. And as I named them, I called them to be with me. I'm not fortunate enough to carry an Indigenous name or a traditional name. My dad was the late Dave Simpson, first generation born in this country. So I'm a mixed blessing and carry the gifts of walking in two worlds. So it's been an all right way to be. I'm grateful to who my parents were and the challenges, and yeah, they did the best that they could, and what they could give me turned out to be pretty all right. And I'm glad to be here today. Our souls were rocked in this house. My husband, who you'll meet in a few minutes, is a survivor of the Alberni Indian Residential School. I'm going to brag for him because he's too humble to say so himself. He was a plaintiff in the first trial against the dorm supervisor in Canada, and those men were really strong and set the stage for a lot of the healing work that began to happen in this country. I'm really proud of him. And Mel and Stan Good of Tk'emlups, who started that action. They're pretty amazing guys. There were 18 of them in that action. And that was way back in 91, I think. And a lot of amazing work happened from that time. And yeah, it's been a journey. And I really acknowledge the strength and resilience of so many families and their loved ones and the survivors that I know and love. And the worlds that have been rocked since Friday. I think I know that it's like every cell in our bodies are affected right now, whether or not we know somebody who attended, but when we do, or if you attended yourself, our world is rocked right now. For survivors, the scabs are being torn off again. For some, your nightmares may be coming back. That's real. And so what the wish and the hope for right now is that there'll be some ways of helping you to look after yourself and know that there's a lot of people who really care for you and really love you. And wish there was ways we could take some of that pain away. I just really want to acknowledge that you came into this world as the most precious human being. You never, ever deserved any harm. You came here to be loved and treasured. And you deserve that today as well. And in my little book of pieces that I really love and gathered together, I found this poem, and I don't know who the author is, but I really love it. So I thought I would start today with this because it makes a lot of sense to me. And it says, grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage. It's not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith, but it's a price of love. And I think why this little piece spoke to me is because if we didn't love, we wouldn't hurt. And what I've learned over the years too is the pain comes and goes. And over time, it comes a little less. But what I also have learned is we can't pretend it doesn't happen. And what the best practice is to learn to feel. And one of the things that John talks about is one of the lessons that's the hardest one, I think, to unlearn from residential school is don't talk, don't feel. What's the other one, John?
Don't see.
Don't see. And so now to unlearn the don't feel is sometimes really, really hard. Because in order to let your healing start, you have to be able to allow yourself to feel. Let those tears come. Because allowing yourself to do that will allow the room for the good stuff to come in. To allow yourself to feel joy. If we watch our little ones, listen to them laugh. That's what was robbed. And if we can start to capture that with them, that's when we'll heal. And Dorina, who I used to work with, she was one of our psychologists. She used to teach that science come into our work too. That when they analyzed tears, when they were tears from our trauma, and I liked this teaching because it made sense. If they gathered the tears from our trauma, there was enough toxins in them, she says, to kill a rat. But when they analyzed the tears from our joy, they're salt water. And so for the scientists and the people that like information in our world, it's really good for you to let those old painful tears out. Think of what you're releasing from your body. So every time you let those old hurts and pains go, you're getting rid of that old gunk from your body. And you're making space for the good stuff. You're making space for the love from your children and your grandchildren to be able to come in. And I know from the years of our work, one of my greatest joys was watching some of our older people learning to hug their children and their grandchildren. Because the amount of grief and pain that they would come in carrying, and they could let it go, little by little. Because they were so guarded from all the hurt that they experienced. And I remember one elder coming in just for a really short program, and he came in walking on a cane, and he went out without his cane, and he never picked his cane up again, just because of the releasing that he did in just a 3-week program. So those are the benefits of allowing yourself to let go of some of that old pain. So there's real benefit to doing some letting go, no matter which way you choose to do it. It can be formal programs. It can be, John will talk to you about some traditional ways of letting go. But it's really important that you figure out for you what it is that's weighing you down and what would be your benefits to taking care of yourself in whatever ways that would be. And there's no right or wrong way. But there's a good chance if you've had multiple losses that you're carrying some weight around with that. And when we hear an announcement like we heard on Friday, it tends to bring up layers of pain. Not just the one we heard Friday. It can bring up other ones that we're carrying. Because sometimes what happens in our communities is we have a loss. And then before we have time to really have a rest and recover, we lose somebody else. So we'd often in our communities, because our families are so big and we love so many people, we don't really have time to heal in between our losses. So that's where it's really important to stand together. And I think in lots of ways we can be really good. We have our ceremonies, we know how to gather. We have lots of ways traditionally of taking care of each other. And we really know how to do that well. But once all that work is done and everybody goes back home and you're left alone, sometimes we're not always that good about reaching out. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is don't isolate. And this last 2 years of COVID have left us really alone and isolated in many instances. So with our grief, it's important to stay connected. Remember to have tea, have coffee. Find the people you like to laugh with. Have dinner. Doesn't have to be big and fancy, but stay connected. Because I think that's another residue of what residential school broke up, is some of those connections and the healthy ways of staying connected. The celebrations. Some families are still good at it, but some aren't. So in terms of grief recovery, sometimes that's really part of what it is. It's just remembering to have the birthday celebrations. Remembering to call a dinner. Just say, I miss you, let's have dinner. That's what's going to help you through the grief. And I'm going to hope and really visualize that we're almost through COVID. Once we all get vaccinated. Make an effort. And right now, there's a few things I've been doing to cope with COVID. One of them's been phoning friends, phoning elders. I don't like to think of myself as an elder yet. So phoning older people than me, just having visits on the telephone. And for because I've lost some of my really, really beloved older people, and to phone their mates and just say, how are you doing? Because they're really lonely. You've been married over 50 years and you've lost your partner. They're really lonely. And they don't do Facebook particularly, a lot of them. That's how you help people through grief. Drop off dinner. That's how you cope. That's how you help the people you love. It's not fancy. And so right now it's kind of the same. What are the little things you can help each other do? One of my teachers, Louise Roberts, she's been gone now a while. And she used to tell me, when somebody's down, you put your hand out and you lift them up. And I think this is one of our times. We put out our hands and we lift each other up. It's another one of our times where we sit around. Hopefully soon we're going to be able to sit around the table again. Right now, maybe it has to be outside. But we can do it. Gosh, we've lived through so much. We've lived through so much. We can do this. We can do this. And I'm really grateful, Karen, to you and to Bobby Joe. And we need to really keep going because this is our first school. We need to remember to stick together like we're doing right now. We're going to go through this quite a few more times. So let's stick together. Let's reach out to one another and not stay isolated. Let's stay connected. My mom and my grandma used to say all the time, love one another. Those are the words they used all the time. Love one another. You be kind to each other. That's what they used to tell us all the time. And I think we need to live by those two teachings right now. And we'll be strong. We're going to make it. Hi, Chica. Thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you, Yvonne. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when I get the opportunity to be with you. It's always such a blessing. Your love and your spirit always shows through, Yvonne. And I know that in spite of the fact that you're giving us all this strength right now, that we too are sharing our strength with you and John and Jeremy, and hoping to lift you up and reconnect you in this way. I think everybody here, that's how I've always visualized it. This is us reaching our hands out in any way that we can right now and trying to lift one another up. And there are so many thousands of people here with us. So we have a message from Amanda on there. Maybe you might want to take a look, Yvonne. So with that, I'm going to ask John to join us, and like John, like Yvonne, John is one of these extraordinary individuals with such strength and such grace and such love, and who often goes under the radar. And yet, when these times come, still finds the strength and the courage and the wisdom and the love to share with us. You, John, are one of my heroes. You helped get us to this place so many years ago. And I don't tell you often enough that I see you for that. So, Gela Kessler.
Good morning. My name is John. My traditional name is Tk'emlups. That name comes from Tk'emlups, given to me by my grandmother. Before I start, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Karen and Bobby for having me as part of this circle. It's always a pleasure working with you, and the things that need to be brought forward, you always do it in a good way. And I thank you very much for allowing me to be a part of this. I am real honored to be a part of this circle. As our circle grows bigger, different races of human beings will come into our circle. And I want to honor each and every one of you. Because our skin is different colored, it doesn't mean that we're not human beings. We're all human beings in the eye of our Creator. My intention today is to have a really heartfelt moment for the children that are going to be going home that didn't make it home. In the grieving process, you go through many stages of emotions and mental thoughts that the anger that often comes up. When I heard about this, one of the things I said to myself is, I'm tired of being angry. And because the news that keeps coming up is so overwhelming sometimes. And I needed a place in my heart just to feel some anger. And I released some of that. The day after I heard, I went for a walk down to the beach, and I walked in the seawater. And this is something I've been taught by people who were guiding me in my life. When the tide was going out, I was asking the seawater to take my anger away, to replace it with strength so that we'll be able to get through this. And that helped a lot, because like right now, one of the things in grief is the final stage is acceptance. And accepting right now, my vision would be these children are joining their mom and dads now. They're joining their brothers and sisters. They're joining their grandparents. And for them to be going home to a good place, that's where my heart is. We also need to reach this place that they're going to be where they're meant to be with their family. That's where my heart is right now. Just getting off the topic a little bit. I was supposed to wear an orange shirt, This is the closest to an orange shirt I got. And I think my uncles and my aunties were here with me when I picked this shirt. My family loved lacrosse, and they still do. All my uncles played lacrosse, and my mom and my aunties used to go to every game. And they played for Nanaimo Timbermen. I wore this today, also not only to remember the 215 children, but my mom and my aunties and my uncles had a sister that didn't make it home. And that's one of the reasons I'm wearing this shirt. When we come together, we try and find solution in our hearts. We strive for a better future. One of the common things in our culture is that the children are our future. And for our children to know where we come from, what our ancestors had to live through, gives them a better understanding of the strength that our ancestors passed on to us, that we walk in a good way. We have an open heart and an open mind to creation, to every human being. It just things like really believing in your higher power, whatever it be. Honor it, honor your feelings, honor your thoughts. One of the greatest gifts that my stepfather gave me is after I come home from residential school, he's seen all the battles that I've been going through. One day he sat me down and started talking to me, and I started feeling. And this is what he'd done to me. He reached his hand over to me and he said, "Welcome to being a human being again." Because all those feelings were all locked up. And it's human to feel. It's human to process, to find out where you are. And I want to leave you all in a good space that we remember the children are going home now. And that's a good thing. Hi, Chika. You go.
Thank you, John, for sharing those words with us, and for your strength. Always your strength is amazing. Your love, the strength of your love, the strength of the caring that you have is just so powerful. And I mean, you've helped. I know people don't know who John is in the way that we know, and you and my father, and there's others that have just been the backbone of this for so many years. And when you sit here and I know what you've gone through, and I know what my father has gone through, and other survivors, and yet you are still here asking us to show up in love. You are still here asking us to keep going. And so my thing, we talk about this in our family. Who are we to say we're tired? You know what I mean? Who are we to say we're hurting too much, or those kinds of things? Because you guys are here all the time. You guys are still here, and you give great strength, and strength in a positive way, not strength over, but strength with. And I really want to acknowledge that and thank you for that very much. I love you.
Love you too.
Yeah. Yvonne, did you want to say some more? No? Okay. I'm actually gonna, because I know this of my father, Chief Joseph, if you would like to say some words.
Thank you. I want to first start by thanking John and Yvonne for joining us today. I've heard so much wisdom and inspiration, and watching these two modeling what it means to be courageous and to never surrender to darkness or hate, but always want to uplift others. I'm always impressed that whenever I see these two beautiful people, that they never stop manifesting love, because sometimes that's all we have. When we come to these really difficult moments in our lives, in our time, sometimes that's all we have. And so we go through a dark period and we make our way through the harm and the abuse and the hurt. And we come through it and show up on the other side. In Canada, that's sort of where we are. We're discovering the worst about us. And it's dark and painful. And I think that the hope that we all can have between us, everybody on this screen, all people wherever they live on Turtle Island, is that there is no one who was born without the capacity to love. Even if you grow up and face abuse and hatred and discrimination and prejudice, it never can conquer the capacity of anyone's love if we continue to seek the best for ourselves. And I know that's what Yvonne and John believe in as well. So in this really, really difficult time in our history across the country, so many, well, all Indigenous people, but so many other Canadians are stunned and shocked and in sorrow, feeling so many emotions: guilt, shame, humiliation, anger. We collectively still have the capacity to love and to get us past that, to carry us through that. And I know that in the times after this, that the things that need to be done will materialize, and they will be done wherever people determine that's the right thing to do. And they're going to honor things like all the 94 recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Our friends and neighbors and their children and our children, wherever we are, are going to learn how to be respectful to each other, to show care and compassion. And someday, because we always seem to lose children, someday all parents will mourn for all children, because that's how it should be with humanity. So I really want to thank John and Yvonne for their presence today. And I've been watching a chat room and I see some really thoughtful responses. And I know that all of you on this Zoom are being very thoughtful, very considerate, very caring, and really desiring to find some way in which to contribute to a new time of hope and love and light, all those things. Earlier, Karen, you were going to ask me about what I might say about the grieving process. I want to tell just a little story. The first time I ever knew about, I was ever conscious about death was when my grandfather, who happened to be my caretaker, passed away. And I was too young to know about grief, but I stood by and watched and wondered what it was all about. And then felt the pain when he wasn't in my life anymore. And I heard the other elders, aunties, my granny, talk about this transition to the spirit world. And even in my small mind, my little mind, I found some comfort that my grandfather just hadn't disappeared, just hadn't been for nothing, that he was transitioning to a higher spiritual plane. And I think it's really important for us to remember that for all these little ones. I'm so happy that they were discovered 3 days ago, so that their little spirits can be set free. And what gives me more hope than anything else is what I've just observed here on this line yesterday and the day before, and all of the people who responded, and watching Facebook and the news, knowing that Canadians from coast to coast are thinking about this issue really deeply. They're asking, how could it be that this sort of thing happened in this country? And I think that's an important contribution that the little ones are making, calling all Canadians, all of us, to our highest consciousness to think about what our humanity means, to consider and to know that what we do to each other matters, that it's done in love and light and kindness compared to what happened here. And in a way, those little ones we're honoring today have triggered a new thought among all of us about who we are as Canadians and human beings. So in my mind, those little ones have already given so much, and they're going to help to transform this country even more. Walasan Mutla, I deeply appreciate the way all of you are. Lachiskakinayus Nunwakola Lachisquelasi. For all of you coming together with each other, when with us, to consult not only about our words and our thoughts and our minds, but about our spirits. That's where the deepest connection is. And those little ones we're honoring today, they had little spirits. And they've never surrendered. Look at what's happening across this country. We only have to look at it in that way. So those are a few of the words I'm thinking and feeling at the moment. Ilakasa.
Thanks for sharing that. Always appreciate your wisdom and your guidance, your teachings, most of all, your love for us, your children, your grandchildren, even bigger than that for everybody. That's boundless love. Thank you. I just want to share a few things for your own self-care, for everybody who's been journeying with us as we collectively grieve these 215 children. It's really important to stay hydrated, to drink water. So continue to drink water throughout the next few days. When you cry, wash your face when you're done, and take some deep breaths so you can move on. I'd like all of us together to share some breaths right now. So if you can, wherever you are, put both feet on the floor, sit closer to the edge of your seat, and then have your spine straight, sit up as much as you can. And I want you to think about where you're holding tension right now. Most of us will press our tongue against the roof of our mouth. So if you let your tongue drop, a lot of people clench their jaw. So just let your jaw drop. And it's in our shoulders. So together we'll release that. You can bring your shoulders up to your ears, push it back, push it down, and let it relax. We're going to take a deep breath together in through our nose. You're going to hold it for 2 seconds. And when you release it through your mouth, I want you to imagine that breath taking stress, taking grief, taking pain from your body, wherever you hold it. So imagine your breath taking that out. So we'll take a deep breath in through our nose. And exhale. Let's do it one more time. And exhale. There's so many different ways that we can take care of ourselves through this time. Those that I just mentioned, drinking water, breathing, resting is really important. Let yourself rest. You don't have to do everything, but take care of yourself right now. When you take care of yourself, you're able to take care of other people better. And that's what we do really well as Indigenous people, is take care of one another. I think sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves. So let this be the reminder to take really good care of yourselves. Drink water, feed yourself, feed your family, have food delivered to somebody's house if you can. Text somebody and just say, I love you. Nothing else. That's it. Send that love everywhere, wherever you can. Send that love, and that's going to be healing for you and for them, sharing that love. I also encourage you to cry when you need to cry. It's healthy. When we hold those, especially tears of grief, they're toxic. It's toxic in our bodies. That's why we cry, to let them out. It's healthy to cry. It's strong to cry. So I encourage you all to cry. And keep sharing, spreading the love, and breathe. So important. I think another medicine is laughter. It may feel uncomfortable to say that, but that's medicine too. sit with your loved ones, share stories, and laugh at yourselves and laugh at one another. That's going to get us through. And then once we're taking care of our spirits in those ways, then we're going to be all strong collectively to move forward, to make changes now after this. So thank you all. Thank you for allowing me this time to share, to encourage everybody to really take care of yourself so that we can care for one another. Gela Kesla.
Gila Kesla. Thank you, Shelley. I'm always, I think one of the greatest gifts that my sister brings is her ability to sort of just reach in and yank it out just like that. So I really appreciate that. And I also especially appreciate the reminder of laughter. You know, we're all searching for some peace and some joy, because we can still have those moments in grief. As John was saying, there's this journey that we're going through. Sometimes it's big and sometimes it subsides, and you have one of the greatest laughs I've ever heard. So, and it's a huge thing that I appreciate about you. I know that Shar was going to join us for the last few moments here, but I'm not sure that she's actually on with us. Shar, if you are, you can step in now. She may have, are you here, Shar?
I'm here, Karen, thank you.
Yeah, I can't see you.
I seem to be available in voice only.
Okay.
For the second day. I want to start off by saying thank you to Auntie Yvonne and Uncle John. We're so grateful for your willingness to join us, your willingness to share your wisdom, and to continuously be of service to our communities. We have so much gratitude for you. And again, to Bobby Joe and Shelley and Karen for creating this space for people, not just across Canada, but we currently have viewers from across the globe with us right now. I want to take a moment to acknowledge our survivors and the suffering and the pain that they're dealing with right now. And I want to ask everyone with us today to keep them in your hearts and minds as you walk through your day. We're stronger together. We're stronger when we stand with our communities, when we stand with our families. This period of grieving is made so much harder by the fact that we can't be together physically right now, but we can continue to gather virtually, and we can find safe ways to mourn, to grieve, and to heal. I'm praying for the children found at the Kamloops residential school, for our survivors, and for our intergenerational survivors. I heard something really beautiful yesterday. Our love is an act of defiance. Our love is an act of resistance. And we have so much love. We have love for these children, for our elders, for our communities. And with that, so much gratitude for your strength, for your capacity and your willingness to show up even in these really hard times. So please check on your elders, hold space for them. We ask right now that you practice love, that you practice compassion. Reconciliation is first and foremost a personal journey. One, we must reconcile with ourselves, with our histories, with our past. And it's also a national journey. So we ask that reconciliation starts with you. Ask yourself what you can do to make your community, your city, your country a better place. Let today's focus be on how you can be of service to others. Thank you again, Karen, for creating space for me. And thank you to everyone watching and with us today. We appreciate your words, Thank you. Hi, Tk'emlups.
Hi, Tk'emlups. Shar, for sharing your wisdom with us, and for living in courage as you're standing here with some people who have been doing this kind of work for a really, really long time. And I know you're one of those ones that does it quietly in the background. And we've asked you to step forward in a big way on a big stage. So I really appreciate your belief in yourself and your belief in the strength of the love that will be here, the safety of this room, the safety of this circle. I love, one of the other things that I really loved yesterday was that even though on our screen it looks like a square, this is actually a circle. And so I thought that was awesome. Again, I thank everybody here. It's a reminder for us, you know, when we're talking about the journey, that journey beginning inside of us. For some of us, the first act of forgiveness comes to be ourselves. For some of us, that first act may be learning to care for ourselves. For some of us, the first act may be learning to breathe. We don't know, but it all starts somewhere. And it all starts with you. And so for everyone that's here, we know you're on this journey because you wouldn't be with us all these days if you weren't. And so we really appreciate that. We support you in any way we can. And we ask that you join us again tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m., same place, same Zoom link. And tomorrow we're going to be moving into a space of, okay, what's next? What do we need to do next? And how can we honor what these children have already given to us? I really appreciate, Chief Joseph, what you mentioned, that they've given us another opportunity to decide where we want to go from here. And they've brought us together in ways that we could have never been brought together before. And it's a journey, as Yvonne says. There's more to come, unfortunately. And this is part of us getting ready for that. And we're going to continue to get ready, and we're going to continue to move forward. So I see my sister with her drum. That usually means she wants to share a song. See, we can do this even on recognize the signs. So Shelley, I would love it if you could close with a song for us today to help everybody on their journey forward.
Yeah, in particular, I want to sing the love song again. It says, "So big is my love for you, my precious one, that I cry." Tears aren't a bad thing. And I think it lets those kids know undoubtedly that they're loved and that they mattered and that they matter now. They didn't have that in their little lives, and I want them to know that. I want them to feel that, and imagine how powerful that love is for them if all of us do this collectively, that they'll know undoubtedly that they were loved. So this is for those children.
Creator of all things, of all people, we humbly come before you this day asking for your blessings for those little ones who were taken far too early and in such a hurtful way. We ask you to remind them that they are valued, they had purpose, they were loved, they were cared for, and that in our hearts and minds across this country, we remember them and honor them, and that we thank them for they are now contributing to another level of awakening in this country about who we are and thinking about who we should be and how we can move forward together. Creator God, I ask you to bless those people in Kamloops who are at ground zero when it comes to the discovery of this mass grave for little children. Be with them, heal their hearts and minds and spirits. We ask you to be with all the survivors across this land who relive trauma almost every day. We ask you to be with the people, all the people in this great land that stretches from sea to sea to sea. Touch all of their hearts. Have them thinking, reflecting and thinking differently about how we can all live in a world together full of grace, full of dignity, full of respect, full of love. We don't know how long this mourning period will go for each and every one or collectively, but we ask you to be present and give us solace that one day justice and equality will prevail, love and light will take place. It's just been a difficult last few days. Help us to work our way through that. And Creator God, I ask you to bless all the people who have been part of this circle and the one tomorrow. May the citizens, all its citizens of this country, reflect deeply on this moment, on the things that we've been talking about, on our hopes and dreams, that everything will work out. Help all of us to live out our full range of emotions so that we can reclaim balance and power and harmony in our lives. And then roll up our sleeves and work really hard about bringing about the things that matter for all of us. All my relations.
We are all one. Thank you again today for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow. And please invite your friends, and if you can help, we've put some links into the chats and into the web rooms and stuff. So be well on your journey today. Take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hola, que es Maurislala.